All right, let's talk about something we all deal with: bad habits. Those annoying little things we wish we could just stop. Maybe for you, it's constantly checking your phone, or maybe it's the big one: procrastination. It's this universal struggle, right? And changing them is always way harder than it seems.
Oh man, we've all said this, haven't we? It's the classic promise we make to ourselves. Full of hope, sounds so firm and decisive. Tomorrow, it's a fresh start. And yet, that tomorrow just never seems to show up, does it? We wake up, and somehow we fall right back into the same old routine. It's so frustrating, and it's easy to feel like it's some kind of personal failure. But what if the problem isn't actually us? And here is the absolute game changer. We've been thinking about this all wrong. We tell ourselves we just need to be stronger, to have more willpower. But the real insight here is that bad habits have almost nothing to do with weakness. They're all about patterns, deeply wired patterns in our brain. So that brings us to our first big idea, the willpower trap. See, just trying to force yourself to stop, gritting your teeth, that almost never works long term. And why is that? Well, because our bad habits, believe it or not, are actually doing something for us. They exist to give us a little bit of comfort, or a quick hit of pleasure, or even just some relief from stress. So let's try flipping the script entirely. What if the most powerful question you can ask isn't, how do I stop this? But instead, wait a minute, why am I even doing this? That one little shift changes everything. You stop fighting yourself, and you start becoming a detective of your own mind. And that leads us right into our next section, actually decoding your habits. Because to change a pattern, you first have to be able to see the pattern clearly. It's like getting your hands on the blueprint for the very behavior you want to change. So it turns out pretty much every habit we have, good or bad, runs on this simple three-step loop. It all starts with a trigger. That's the cue, the little spark that sets the whole thing in motion. That leads to the behavior, which is, the habit itself. And then finally comes the reward, which is that feeling your brain was looking for all along. And check this out. This makes it so clear. Let's take unhealthy snacking. The trigger here, it's not actually hunger. It's the feeling of stress. The behavior is, of course, reaching for junk food. And the reward? It has nothing to do with nutrition. It's that quick, fleeting moment of comfort. So once you see that, you realize you don't need the junk food. What you actually need is comfort. Okay, so once you've decoded that loop, you can start to mess with it, to redesign it. And that brings us to our third part, a smarter playbook, full of strategies that actually create lasting change. Now, this is maybe the most important rule of all. You have to replace the habit, not just remove it. Your brain absolutely hates a vacuum. If you just take something away, your brain will scramble to fill that void. And guess what it usually fills it with? Yep, the same old bad habit, or maybe a new one that's just as bad. The trick is to have a new habit ready to swap in. And look how simple this can be. The replacement doesn't have to be some monumental thing. If you're stressed and want a snack, just do a few stretches instead. Bored and want to scroll on your phone? Just read 2 pages of a book. The key is, the new habit just needs to be better, not perfect. Oh, this is where so many of us go wrong. We set these huge, ambitious goals, right? I'm going to exercise for 30 minutes every single day. It sounds amazing, but it creates so much pressure that on a day when you're tired or busy, you just do nothing. And then you feel like a total failure. So what's the smarter way? Look at this. 5 minutes. Can you exercise for just 5 minutes? Of course you can. The secret isn't about intensity, it's about repetition. A small habit that you actually do is so much more powerful than a big, perfect habit you only think about. Those small, repeatable actions are what build real momentum. All right, now for one of my absolute favorite ideas. We love to think our choices are these big, conscious decisions, but so often our surroundings have already made the choice for us. Your environment is this invisible hand that shapes your habits more than you can possibly imagine. So you have to redesign your space. It's so simple, but it is incredibly effective. Want to stop eating junk food? Simple. Don't have it in your house. That's step 1. Want to read more? Put a book right on your pillow. That's step 2. You just want to make good behaviors the easiest possible option. Okay, so we've talked about the mechanics, but our fourth section gets into something deeper, something that really makes change stick, the identity factor. See, lasting change really happens when your habits start to line up with the person you want to become.
This is such a powerful mental shift. Instead of thinking, ugh, I have to stop doing this, which feels like a sacrifice, you reframe it as, I am becoming the kind of person who. You see the difference? It transforms the whole process from one of deprivation to one of aspiration. You're not losing something, you're literally evolving.
So let's bring all this home in our final section. It's all about working with yourself, not against yourself. Breaking bad habits isn't some war you wage on a flawed part of you. It's really a process of understanding and cooperation. And listen, you are going to have setbacks. You're going to fall back into old patterns when you're stressed or tired or just having an off day. The most important thing to remember here is that this is not failure. It's just data. It's a completely normal part of being human. The goal isn't perfection. It's just about getting back on track a little faster each time. So, what are the big takeaways? First, understand your habit loop, the trigger, the behavior, the reward. Always replace a bad habit. Don't just try to remove it. Start ridiculously small to build that momentum. Shape your environment to make good choices easy. And finally, focus on the identity you want to build. That's the glue that makes it all stick.
Because really, this is the ultimate message, isn't it? All that struggle, the self-criticism, all those broken promises of tomorrow, it's a fight. And frankly, it's exhausting. But once you understand the patterns, you can stop fighting and you can start designing. You become a collaborator in your own change. And that's not just a more effective way to do things, it's a much kinder and more sustainable way to grow.